So again, welcome to the meeting of the Riverview West Neighborhood Association. We've just invited the attendees to join the meeting, so thank you very much for joining us tonight. Our speakers and presenters are ready to go as well. We're just going to give it another 60 seconds or so before we start the formal part of the meeting, introduce the leadership and the board of the Riverview West Neighborhood Association, and go over our meeting agenda. So stand by. We'll be starting in approximately 30 seconds or so. For those of you who are just joining us, this is the meeting of Santa Ana's Riverview West Neighborhood Association. Thank you very much for joining us. Once again, for those of you who are just joining us, thank you very much. This is the meeting of the Santa Ana Riverview West Neighborhood Association. And we very much look forward to presenting material to you that was requested by the leadership of your neighborhood association. I would like to acknowledge the leaders of your neighborhood at this time. I know several of them are already on the call. A couple of them, we're still waiting for them to join the call as well. The board of the Riverview West Neighborhood Association includes Julie and Roy Melcher, includes Carl Overmeyer, Maria Sandoval, who is on the call, I believe.
Yes.
Also joining them, Vincent Pham, Keith Carpenter, and I apologize if I missed anybody else as part of that group. Our agenda tonight focuses on two major items. The leadership of the neighborhood was very, very excited that you have a new city council member, and so we've arranged for like a meet and greet followed by a Q&A with city council member Nelida Mendoza, and you can see her camera feed at the top. We also have an update, a law enforcement update from Santa Ana PD Commander of Field Operations, Joe Weber, and you can see his camera feed at the top as well. So thank you for joining us. And we have a couple of really quick kind of informational items that we wanted to go over as well. And so we're going to kick off the meeting with those two informational items. And then we'll turn it over to Commander Weber to provide a law enforcement update. And then we'll be joined by City Councilmember Nelida Mendoza, and she will share with you her priorities, and we'll have a little bit of a discussion with her. So at any point, if you have a question, you can either use the toolbar to raise your hand, or you can type in your question on the question pane. There's also a, so those are the two ways to kind of communicate and ask your questions as part of this platform. And so with that, I'd like to suggest that we get started. I would like to introduce Ruben Castaneda, who is with Santa Ana's Public Works Agency. And before I do that, just really quick, I just wanted to acknowledge, you know, my colleague Margarita Macedonio in Santa Ana Neighborhood Initiatives, who is assisting with the production side of this meeting. And I am Scott Kuttner with Santa Ana Neighborhood Initiatives. And so we're both employees of the city of Santa Ana, playing a supporting role to assist the Riverview West Neighborhood Association with their meeting. We'll welcome the opportunity to have comments and dialogue and discussions back and forth as we make our way through this particular meeting. But at this time, I would like to turn it over to Ruben Castaneda, an engineer with our Public Works Agency, to talk about a construction project that's underway in your neighborhood at this time to develop protected bike lanes along Hazard Avenue. Ruben?
Thank you, Scott. Hello, everyone. Once again, thank you for allowing me to take a few minutes of your time tonight to give you a quick update on a project that you may or may have not heard about before. It's a hazard protected bike lanes. It's going to be installing raised curb protected bike lanes on hazard from uh, Euclid to about West Street, and then from West to Harbor, it's going to be a bike route, meaning that it's a bike lane that's shared between the driver and the bicycle. Uh, the project, a quick overview, started with the county as a lead agency. It involved a OCTA, City of Westminster, and City of Garden Grove. The City of Santa Ana has prepared the design and is ready to commence construction. You may have already seen a little bit of construction going on with the striping there. They're getting ready to for the construction of the raised curb medians. So the project again consists of protection of the construction of a protected bike lane. It's also going to do the bike route from West to Harbor, and it's going to reconfigure the traffic lane designation out there. Right now we have 2 lanes in each direction with a 2-way left turn down the middle of the street, and that's going to change to 1 lane in each direction with a 2-way left turn lane down the middle of the street. So essentially we're taking away 1 traffic lane in each direction to be able to accommodate the protected bike lanes. Parking will remain to the maximum extent possible that we were able to keep. And we're also keeping that 2-way left turn lane down the middle of the street to allow for cars to wait while they're for a gap in traffic to be able to make a left turn into the residential streets. This project was prepared as a safety corridor. As you know, there's Rosita and Hazard Elementaries down the corridor along with Rosita Park. During construction, if there's any questions, the flyer does have the phone number there of our city inspector.
Ruben, hi, this is Scott. I'm sorry to interrupt you. I wanted to remind the attendees, though, that we have handouts that are available to you. And so if you go to your control panel where the handouts feature is and you open that up, you'll see that the material that Ruben Castaneda is presenting is available as a handout so that you're able to print it at your home for your reference. And I interrupted him, but he was just sharing that it includes his contact information on there. Go ahead, Ruben, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay, no problem. Thank you, Scott. So it does include the contact information of the inspector there. And any issues you see during construction, we encourage that those be forwarded over to our inspector so that we can address as best as we can. The duration of the project is the month of August now. Like I said, you probably already started seeing something there going on and we anticipate completion by December. Construction hours are typical hours between 9 and 3. There's going to be some traffic control, temporary traffic control that's going to be set up when they're starting the construction of the raised curb medians. And it's supposed the construction hours are supposed to be between 8 and 4. So around 4 o'clock in the evening, they're supposed to start breaking down the traffic control and clear the area to allow for the regular traffic hours. So it's like I said, I wanted to make it brief. Just wanted to bring it to your attention that we're excited to see this project coming forth over for the benefit of the community, make it safer for pedestrians and bicyclists that use this corridor quite often to get to and from school, home, the park for recreation. I'll stick around if you guys have any questions that you'd like to ask of me. I wanted to keep it again really high level. Just let you know that of the project that's coming before you.
Thank you, Ruben. Thank you very much. I'm looking and I actually don't see any questions. I don't see any hands raised about your presentation. Up, I see one hand raised. I want to welcome Holly Paplin, a board member with the Riverview West Neighborhood. Holly, I'm going to unmute your mic so you can ask your question. You're self-muted right now, Holly. So if you unmute your mic, you'll be able to ask Ruben your question.
Sorry. Hi.
Hello.
I can't find where to find the documents to download or print or whatever. I don't see where it is in the platform. I've never used this platform before.
Okay. On the right side, you should have like a control panel, and there's a close to the bottom, it says handouts. And if you open the little diamond there that says handouts, it should display the PDFs. There are five handout PDFs. And Ruben's.
I'm not seeing it. I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe I don't have the screen right. I don't know.
Okay. So what we can do, Holly, is we're making a note that you're interested in that, and we'll email it to you. So you have a copy of it. Okay, we'll email it to you.
Okay, thanks.
Scott, this is Maria Sandoval. Don't forget about me because I have no concept of bringing it up on the screen. I'm calling from my phone and I don't have you like virtually seeing everything. So I have a question for Ruben, and I would like a handout as well. So that's two of my my concerns.
Okay. Did you want to ask your question of Ruben at this time, Maria?
Yes, I sure do. Ruben, I live immediately in this area. I live off of Rosita and 6th Street. But what I want to know from you is that I need to have a number, and I can't find it for the construction person, an inspector for the construction problems. Can you give me that number, or can you have maybe Scott give it to me so that I have it in my files that I can call, and because I live in the immediate area?
Absolutely, Maria. Thank you. The phone number is in the handout that Scott can give over to you, or I can give it right now as well.
Could you give it to me right now, please?
Do you have something to write down with?
Yes, I sure do.
Okay, it's 714.
714.
615.
615.
0891.
0891.
Okay.
Thank
excellent.
you so much.
Thank you, Maria. Also, we have member Keith Carpenter on the line, and he has a question. Again, related. We're focusing on this protected bikeway, and after Keith's question, we're going to move on to the next item. Keith, I'm going to unmute your microphone. You're free to ask your question of Ruben, Keith.
Yeah, if you could you email me that also? I'm having a little trouble downloading that stuff. I can see it come up on my control panel there, but it's not being real friendly on the download. So if you could email me those, I appreciate it. Got the 5 handouts.
Very good.
And I just want to say, God, this is a great thing. I think it's wonderful. Good to see.
Thank you.
You're saying you think it's wonderful and it's good to see. Okay. Thank you, Keith.
No, I think it's good for putting in the bike lanes. It's nice. I think it's an improvement for the city. You know, hopefully it gets more people out there on the bikes and less people in the cars, so cut down some of that traffic, I hope.
Right. Okay, very good. Thank you, Keith.
Thank you.
Okay, so we've answered everybody's questions. Ruben, thank you very much. We're gonna, my colleague Margarita is now going to share her screen with some high-level information about a development project that has been shared with your neighborhood in the past. There was a, for those of you who would benefit from a refresher, there was a sunshine ordinance meeting at Hazard Elementary School nearly 2 years ago. And at the time, it was a family that had this property that was proposing to build a condominium development with 8 for-sale units. at 305 North Mountain View Street. And so there's a professional development company has taken over this project, and they're anticipating having this project considered by the Planning Commission and the City Council this fall. And so again, we're just trying to give the residents in Riverview West, the leadership of your neighborhood, the heads up that this particular project is going to be before the Planning Commission and the City Council this fall, probably in September or October. This project description of 305 North Mountain View is included as a handout for this meeting, so you're able to download it. To the extent that you're not able to download it, just let us know and we'll email it directly to you. The project description includes the contact information for the developer. So to the extent that you have specific questions about the project, the timing, anything related to it, Bill Jagger of the Jagger Company, 949-280-0758 is the primary contact, and I encourage you to contact them directly. We do have a site plan and some elevations for the project, but let's see whether there are any questions about this at all before we delve too much further into it.
Scott, we had 2 questions entered regarding the presentation that our colleague Ruben Castaneda made. So,
okay.
Ruben, are you still on, Ruben? Can you unmute yourself?
I'm here.
Okay, so we have the first comment from Rid Van Bruce is, thank you for this project. The second question, or the response, is from Joel Steinmetz, and he says, awesome project. Will the bike lanes be one way on different sides of hazard or both ways on one side of hazard? He would like for you to clarify that.
I'm sorry, I'm getting some feedback here on the microphone. On the audio. Can you repeat the question?
Yes. So the response by one of the residents, Joel Steinmetz, is awesome project. Will the bike lanes be one way on different sides of hazard or both ways on one side of hazard?
It's going to be one way on either side of hazard. So yeah, they're not next to each other on one side of the street. It's on either side of the street on hazard.
So one way on both, or I'm sorry, can you?
Yeah, so it's one way westbound and one way eastbound. On one side of the north side of hazard westbound, south side of hazard eastbound.
Okay, so that's thank you, Ruben. The next question is from Louis Calma. For Ruben, will the bike lanes eliminate the street parking along hazard?
No, not at all. In fact, we made sure that we minimized that impact. And there were some areas that, in fact, we were able to open up as a result of the bike lane. So if anything, it's the same or a little bit more parking than there is now.
Thank you so much. I apologize, Scott. I just wanted to make sure those questions were addressed.
Oh, no, thank you. Thank you so much. We're so glad that we're able to answer everybody's questions. That's great. So Ruben, we're gonna turn your camera off again, and we're moving back to this development project overview. Thank you, Ruben. And so again, if there are any questions about this North Mountain View Street development of 8 for-sale condominiums, we've got the information sheet. And we've provided the contact information for the developer to the extent that you'd like any additional information on that. And so I don't see any questions related to the development project itself.
Hey, Scott, let's keep it here. I've got my virtual hand raised. I do have a question.
Okay, very good. Go ahead, Keith.
Now, we're all aware of the parking situation in Santa Ana and the lack thereof. Does this unit provide for adequate parking for all the tenants and their guests off street?
Yeah, so that's a great question. I'm not sure whether the parking information is covered in the project overview. Margarita, could you scroll up a little bit? Let's see what kind of parking information is in there if we're able to answer Keith's question. Otherwise, Keith, we can reach out to the developer and ask them to provide clarification on that. So it says 4 parking spaces per unit will be provided, with 2 in the attached garage and 2 in the full-size driveway. So they're basically meeting the parking standards that the city has for this particular project.
Well, and unfortunately, I don't have a site map here. So is there street parking within this complex or units, or is it, are they facing a main street where they'd have to park on the main street if they had guests or what have you?
Oh, I see. Margarita, my colleague Margarita, could you see if you could pull up the site plan so we can try and answer Keith's question regarding, yeah, just, can everybody see Margarita's screen? We're just sort of going to be paging through to go to the site plan so that we can see if we can answer Keith's question. And I see that Linda Basara has a question also. And so Linda, we'll get to you in a minute to answer your, to call on you to ask your question.
Scott, we also have a question typed in by Vince Cuellar.
Okay, excellent. So everyone should be able to see this site plan that includes the view of the garages with the parking spaces and cars parking in the driveways. And Keith, your question is there any curb space essentially for parking? It appears that there's some, but it doesn't look like there's a lot. And so
now, real quick question so I can understand what we're looking at here. I'm assuming the main street is off to the left. This street we see at the bottom of the screen, if you can hold the screen, please. The street we see at the bottom of the screen is the little turn into this little area. Is that correct? There we go. That's a better, much better picture. Thank you.
Yes, it would be a private street. Yeah, that's just like a private driveway, essentially. Yeah.
It looks like they've got some parking along that that would be the southern wall there, where the trees are. It looks like it's indents there. It looks like you can park there actually.
Okay.
Yeah, cool. Great.
All right, very good, Keith. Thank you. Thank you for your question. Margarita, do we have the name of the next participant with a question?
So yeah, Vince Cuellar typed in a side question regarding the First and Harvard project. What is the status?
Okay. So let's make a note that we will provide an answer to Vince about that, but let's just complete the Q&A on this development project first, and then we'll talk about First and Harvard.
Okay, thank you.
Vince, we'll get back to you in like 2 minutes. We're just trying to wrap up the Q&A on this Mountain View project. Do we have any other questions on Mountain View? I know Linda Basara had her hand raised. Linda, I see that your microphone is self-muted. If you'd like to ask your question now would be a good time.
No, I'm sorry. My computer accidentally logged me into the questions queue.
Okay.
So I thought I had pulled myself out.
No worries. Thank you, Linda. Thank you so much. Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Chief Carpenter, again, real quick question. Will this site plan be in those handouts, or is that only that real quick overview of the project?
So this site plan is like a 16 meg package. It's like a pretty big file. If you're interested in it, we can email it to you.
Yeah, just if you would please, yeah, because it's kind of, unfortunately, I can't see the whole picture here on the computer with what's displayed. So.
Okay, very good, Keith. We will take care of that. Thank you. Thank you very much, Keith. Okay, so I think we've answered all the questions on this. We're getting ready to go into our main agenda items. Before we do that, I wanted to welcome Julie and Roy Melcher to the meeting. Hopefully they're able to get their mic working. And so we have a number of board members and leaders of the Riverview West Neighborhood Association. You know, at any point, if you guys have any comments, please let us know so we can unmute your mic and you can fully engage and participate in the dialogue. With that, Vince had a question about the First and Harbor project.
Correct.
And so that is the northeast corner of First and Harbor. That is the premier development, which was a commercial project, which included a Chase Bank, restaurants, things like that. We actually checked in with the development company fairly recently, and so the project is kind of on hold right now. So it's not clear when they're going to be starting development at the site itself. So Vince, I apologize, I don't have anything more definitive for you, but we can capture your contact information from this call and make a note to email you any updates that we get from the development company if that's satisfactory. Let's try and unmute Vince. Vince, are you on the line there?
Here, thank you.
Yes.
So would that be satisfactory, Vince? We'll check with the developer and we'll send you the update directly.
Yes, that's good. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Thank you, Vince. Thank you very much.
Scott.
All right. Margarita,
Scott.
any other questions?
Yeah, we have, so Maria has a question, but I think Keith Carpenter had his hand raised. So Keith, is there anything new that you're inquiring about?
No, ma'am, it's just the little icon here is a little slow to respond.
Okay.
And I'm mistaken on that parking. That actually is a fire lane. You cannot park there.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
All
Thank
they
you,
have
Keith.
is what's in their driveway and their 2-car garage.
So we'll send the file out to you, Keith, but just keep in mind that it's a very large file. And I
Okay.
have also noted that we're going to mail Maria Sandoval the Public Works handout. We'll send it to you, Keith, and to Holly Pamplin. Sorry.
Okay, excellent. That sounds great. Margarita, are there any other questions before we introduce Santa Ana Police Department Commander Weber?
Maria Sandoval has a
Maria
question.
Sandoval. We just,
Maria
yeah, go ahead, Maria.
Sandoval. Okay.
Yes. Okay, Scott, I remember that I asked you to look at some of the projects that were in my area that I don't know anything about. One of them is 4th and Euclid. I'm not sure if you have anything to update me with, because they are definitely putting something up, because the dark thing on the fence is up. And the one on Euclid and Hazard, nothing has happened. And I heard that the plug was pulled on Euclid and Hazard, where the 7-Eleven was going to go in.
Okay. So we'll need to get back to you to try and answer those. We'll get answers for you to those questions.
Okay.
And we'll share them with the board and the leadership of the Riverview West neighborhood as well. So Carl Overmeyer and Julian Roy Melcher and Holly and Vincent, Keith, and the whole group. So let us do a little bit more research, and Maria, we will let you know the status of those.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Okay, so if there are any other questions on anything we've covered thus far, we would like to go over to our police commander, Weber, who has a brief presentation, and then we'll be available for a Q&A. Commander Weber, you are self-muted right now.
All right, good evening, everybody. It's a pleasure to share some time here with you at your meeting. I believe I've been to one of your meetings before, but it's been a while. When I was a sergeant over Vice a couple years back, I believe I attended a meeting. So I'm glad to be here tonight, and hopefully my presentation will be informative and that I might be able to answer some of the questions that you might have at this time. Margarita, if we could go ahead and go to the first slide.
Yes.
Moving this.
All right, so basically, I'm a commander over field operations, and essentially I oversee 4 teams, one of which is our quality of life team, another is our directed patrol team, our Civic Center patrol team, as well as our AB 109, and I'll go into each one of those units here. If we could move to the next slide. All right, there we go. So our quality of life team, we call it COLT, kind of an acronym for it, and that is headed by Sergeant Juan Montiel. And essentially, what they do is they address homelessness related issues in the community citywide. They work with our city departments and use both city and county resources to address unauthorized encampments and abandoned property, things of that sort. They also provide outreach, including shelter and mental health services to those who are experiencing homelessness. Let's move on to the next slide. Okay, our directed patrol team, we have Corporal Velasquez is the head of that team, and they're there to address quality of life issues that aren't necessarily related to homelessness. They look into street level narcotics complaints and also neighborhood nuisances. So they're essentially kind of our city problem solvers. If there's an issue going on in your neighborhood, oftentimes we'll use our directed patrol guys to look at that issue and see what, if any, type of solution we can come to. Again, they're our directed patrol. They don't normally, they aren't answering calls for service. So if there's something in progress or something of that sort, a crime in progress, they're not the ones that are generally going to respond. Those will be our patrol officers. The directed patrol are, again, going to concentrate on specific issues citywide and in neighborhoods citywide. Next slide, please. I'll go over these next 2 quickly. We have our Civic Center Patrol, and Corporal John Kaczoriski is in charge of that. Essentially, they service the city Civic Center, and they work with city and county officials to provide a safe and secure environment for people who work in that area, as well as visitors that are in the Civic Center. Corporal Robert Valdez, he works with our downtown businesses. He's part of the downtown business liaison unit, and they work to provide a safe and inviting environment for Santa Ana residents and businesses alike. Let's go to the last slide here. Let's see. There we go. That's our AB 109. What that team or that number refers to is an assembly bill, and it established the California Public Safety Realignment Act of 2011. So again, that's Assembly Bill 109, and it allows released non-violent, non-serious, and non-sex offenders to be supervised at the local county level instead of the state level. So essentially, we have probation officers supervising these folks in lieu of parole officers. And our department's AB 109 team is made up of members of the Santa Ana Police Department, Orange County Probation, and the Orange County DA's office. And they essentially are there to ensure that our supervised offenders are successful in complying with the requirements of their probation. So again, those are the units that I'm over. I also work collaboratively with other units within the department with our patrol officers, as well as investigations and things of that sort. Let's go ahead and move to the next slide. What I wanted to explain or go over as well, and I'm sure maybe you've gone over this in previous meetings, is if for those of you who don't know, we have an app here in the city of Santa Ana. It's called My Santa Ana, and it's available for both Apple and Android platforms, and it's free. You don't have to pay anything. And essentially, it allows you to report quality of life issues in your neighborhood. And those quality of life issues might include graffiti removal, homeless encampments, code violations, illegal dumping, trees, illegal advertising, shopping carts in your neighborhood, potholes, sidewalk defects, street lights. I think you kind of get the picture there. But essentially, it allows you to go to this app. Very easy to. It's kind of self-explanatory as far as how the app works. And you click on whatever issue you want to report. You describe that issue, provide an address, things of that sort, and you can take pictures and submit. So it's a great little app, and it kind of lets you report items that are affecting your quality of life in your neighborhood without necessarily having to call in or make a complaint. You can essentially report it, and all of those apps are gone through. So some issues will be handled by the police department, other issues will be handled by code enforcement and other departments within the city. If we could go ahead and move to the next slide. In kind of reviewing crime maps and city crime statistics and things of that sort, one of the things, or a few things that I thought might be of interest to you, what's going on in the area is burglary prevention. Not that we have a whole lot of burglaries in the area, but burglary is, it's always going to be there, unfortunately. And I just kind of wanted to maybe provide a few tips as far as prevention. You know, we always want to lock our doors, whether it be our homes, garages, or our vehicles. And another thing that's important is if, unfortunately, if someone becomes a victim of burglary, they don't often report it. And we need those reports because it helps us, number one, it might help us locate evidence that can lead to a resolution to solving that particular burglary. It also helps us identify hot spots for increased patrol, maybe concentrate our efforts in a particular area of town that might be experiencing a rash of burglaries. Same thing kind of goes with auto theft. Always lock your doors if you're parking your cars in the street or in your driveway. Consider an alarm system for your vehicles. For an older vehicle, such as maybe a late 80s, early 90s model Toyota or Honda, steering wheel locks are very useful. Makes it that much more difficult for someone to take your car. If you're able to, garage your vehicles. And again, just as we were speaking with about the burglary prevention, let's make sure we report any incidents of auto theft. I think that's most of the time we don't have to urge people to do that. They do that automatically, but it's important to, again, report it. And if, unfortunately, if you fall victim to auto theft and then you later locate your vehicle, we need to know that as well so that we can take it out of our stolen vehicle system. Make sure that you don't get pulled over, an officer thinking that you're driving a stolen vehicle. So let's go to the next slide. As far as what we can do in my shop in field operations, if you have any complaints that are narcotics related, we'll work to resolve those issues. If it's something that's in progress, we would urge you to contact the main line, our dispatch, to report a crime in progress. But if it's something that's just kind of generic, or you just want to provide information that, hey, I think the guys down the street at this particular address are perhaps selling narcotics because I see cars going all times of the day or night, then give us that information, you can give us that information via our directed patrol unit. And they can kind of work to resolve that issue or look into it at the very least to see if it's a valid concern. And then as far as if you ever have, again, in reviewing some of the issues that are that are affecting your area. We do get quite a few noise complaints. Those might be due to parties on the weekends or other similar complaints. Again, if it's something that's in progress, that's something you would call on the main line. Keeping in mind that if you want prosecution, then we need a signer, but we can also issue administrative citations for that as well. If you call and you're hearing loud music, we can drive by. We'll do one of two things. We'll either warn the person to turn down the music or turn it off. And if that doesn't happen, we can always issue them an administrative citation, which is essentially, it's not something that they would be prosecuted for, but it is a monetary fine that they would have to pay. And again, we generally try and give people, a chance to turn off the music to comply. But if we get a repeat call because the music's still not off, then chances are they're going to get, at the very least, an administrative citation. And again, if you have issues with loud music, illegal fireworks, or things of that sort, don't be afraid to give us a call. Sometimes it can be a challenge for us, with the loud music and fireworks, in that if we arrive and we don't see the fireworks going off, or we don't hear the loud music anymore, it's a little bit difficult to take any action. But certainly if we arrive and somebody's still lighting the firework off, or they're still playing that loud stereo, that gives us a little bit more to go on to resolve the issue. If you need to report an in-progress crime again, you would contact our dispatch, and the number for our dispatch for a non-emergency response or reporting would be 714-245-8665. Once again, that's 714-245-8665. And of course, if it's an emergency, you would dial 911. And again, for the quality of life issues I mentioned on a previous slide, you can download that app, My Santa Ana, and that's a great way to report those quality of life issues. And I think I have one more slide, Margarita.
Yes. And Commander, as we go through the last one, we do have a question by one of the callers. One of the participants.
Okay. Yeah, I'd be happy to answer a question.
So the question is from Louis Calma. Has the street racing been drastically reduced? It has been less these past days, but I can't help to notice the tire donut marks in many intersections.
Well, I can tell you, I work closely with Commander Elms. He's over our traffic division, and I know that is a priority. And we see that as well. The skid marks, especially over the weekends. But that is something that we're actively working to address. We're aware of the problem, and we do have officers working at the days and the times that we get the most complaints. So again, that's something we are working on.
You're in the meeting. Oh, okay, great.
We also have some other questions from callers. Let's see, let's start with, we have Linda Basara. Linda, if you can unmute yourself so that you can ask your question to Commander Weber. Linda Basara.
Okay, let's try Henrietta Pinon. Henrietta, you're self-muted right now, so
Hello.
Hi, Henrietta.
Hi. So
hello, Henrietta. How are you?
Hi, I'm okay. A little hot, but I have a complaint, and I don't know where to go with it. So we have a person, I believe is homeless, because she comes and stays in an abandoned house here. She can't get in the house. She just parks in the driveway. and she's here like early in the morning to about 9 or so. And then she has cats that she takes care of. And she has them on the front porch. She doesn't live there. She used to live there about a year ago, but the house is being worked on or something, and it's all locked up, but she's still using it. And the cats are a nuisance. And I hate to think that she's homeless. I mean, if she's homeless, I don't mind her sleeping there, I guess. But the cats are just a nuisance. I mean, she doesn't even live here. Is that that something that we can do something about?
Yeah, as far as the cats go, that would be an issue for animal control.
I tried them and they just passed me on.
Really? Okay. Well, let me figure out. I know that my shop, we can if it's a homeless related issue, it's something that we can look into. Do you have the address offhand?
Yes, it's 5113 A as in apple, Progresso, P as in Peter, R-O-G as in George, R-E-S-S-O Street.
Okay, give me just a moment here. Let me grab a pen. I'm sorry, I'm not at my desk right now.
And it's just not like 1 or 2 cats. We got 10 to 12 cats.
Okay.
And they all come into our yard. I can't even let my grandson go out and play because of all the feces in our yard.
Okay. Once we wrap up the question with Henrietta, we're going to go back to Linda Basara.
Okay.
So Linda, if you're listening, we're going to unmute your mic so that you'll be able to ask your question.
But I'm going to have questions too. This is Maria Sandoval.
Okay, well, we'll get back to you, Maria, but let's see if Linda Basara is ready to ask her question.
I agree.
Okay, what was the address again of the individual?
Okay, are you ready? Hello?
Yes.
Okay, 5113 A as in apple. The street name is Progresso, P as in Peter, R-O-G as in George, R-E-S-S-O.
Okay. All right, so I will have our quality of life team look into that as far as what time is she generally there in the morning?
In the morning, she's probably here between, well, when I notice her, maybe 4 a.m. to about 9 a.m. And then she's in and out of the driveway to come and feed the cats and water the cats and things like that all day.
Okay. So the cats are just running amok there in the
definitely. Yes.
Okay. All right, so I will pass that information along to animal control as far as the cats go, and as far as the individual goes, I will see if our quality of life team can't maybe contact her and see what her situation is.
Great.
Thank you.
All right.
And now we're going to move to Linda Basara. I think Linda's mic is unmuted. Linda, are you ready to go?
Yes. Yes, this is her husband.
Oh, great. Please, sir, please continue. Ask your question, please. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to ask, sir, do you know what's going on with our police department, if they're planning to have any changes, like defunding them or adding more officers?
At the moment, I haven't heard of any plans to defund our police department. They were looking at a few organizational changes as far as I think they were going to make animal control a part of make it a city department rather than a unit in our police department. We continue to hire officers. We just this last year we got some grants via the federal government for community policing, and that allows us to hire some officers. So we continue to hire officers. We've, I have the pleasure to sit on panels for prospective officers, and just in the few weeks, I've done a few of those, and so we're getting some quality candidates coming through, and our recruiting team is doing a great job finding some real great individuals to be a part of our Santa Ana Police Department family. So.
Great, that's great news, and I want to thank you. There's many people like me that appreciate and thank you for all your service.
Well, thank you very much. It's good to hear that, sir.
Yes, you have a good day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, we see that Keith Carpenter has his hand raised, and then we'll go to Maria Sandoval after Keith. Keith, did you have a question?
We have one more by Vince Cuellar.
I'm sorry?
We have one additional question from Vince Cuellar following Maria Sandoval.
Okay, great. So we're going to go to Keith, Maria, and then Vince. Keith.
There we go. It's muted now. I've got quite a few. Hi, how's it doing, man? I got quite a few questions, so I don't know how many you can handle at one time. But first of all, quick, yeah, I can see that uncomfortable smile. The animal control issue, to dovetail in with our previous caller, we've got an issue with a lady that comes around and feeds cats. She does not live in the area. I called her department last week because she got extremely aggressive. Unfortunately, it took you guys about an hour and 48 minutes to respond, and she's long gone by then. And she's coming here to feed cats. If you do any kind of deductive reasoning, you have to understand that she'd be the one dropping the cats off here if she knows they're here to be fed. So this has been an ongoing problem. We're just plagued with stray cats. What can we do about it if you guys are animal control? And do I have the right to trap these stray cats and take them in?
That's a good question. I'm not. I don't have all the answers when it comes to animal control type issues. But again, I can pass that information along to our animal control so that they can address it. What's the address of this? It's not the same address there on Progresso, is it?
Oh, no, sir, no. We're over here on Island West Kent Avenue, but she feeds the cats in the neighborhood. She puts food in the cars, which has caused a rodent and roach problem. And again, I know in my mind that she is dropping these cats off here because, like I say, why else would you just decide to come and feed cats in this neighborhood? She leaves the papers under the car, and then the food's there, and it's just an awful mess. And again, like I spoke to her the other night and asked her to, tell her that she's got to stop feeding these cats. That it's Holly Pamplin can probably get a little more information on this. We have found out it is a violation of some penal code to feed feral animals. But she got real belligerent. She started spouting racial epithets about Hispanic people. It just got really belligerent and really kind of aggressive, and that's when I called you guys. But it's just gone on and on for years. Yeah.
And so this is occurring primarily on West Kent?
Well, that's why I've seen her, but Holly Pamplin she can attest too. She feeds cats around on Crystal and I guess over on Lenhart even.
So we've just unmuted Holly also. So Holly, do you want to contribute to this discussion regarding the cats?
Yes, please. Yes, she actually feeds cats between 17th Street up to or down south to Warner Avenue in Fountain Valley, and then from Euclid east to Harbor Boulevard. That whole area, she's driving and dropping food in neighborhoods, and she's hiding it. And they drive through. Somebody drives her sometimes, a man, and she gets out and does the cat stuff, and the man drives her. But they drive with their lights off. And when I've gone out to try to get pictures of the license plates or whatever, the guy would turn his lights on so he couldn't get a picture, or high beam, or get out of his car and shine his flashlight at me. And he's also gotten out of his car and walked at me while I was trying to videotape her doing that. And it scared me, but, and she's yelled at me, and if you try to talk to her, she'll just start yelling and stick her hands in the air and wave like you're attacking her and don't hurt me. And she, it's like, it's weird. She's weird. There's something off. And now, people all over Fountain Valley and Santa Ana have asked her to stop.
What time
And if
is this occurring?
if I can interject, when I called the department, I gave them a description of the car and the license plate number and a description of the woman. And the problem is it comes out around at all hours of the night, typically late. And you know, you come out in the morning, there's a pile of food under the car I've got pictures of one car with 6 cats under it at one time. So yeah, she gets, you know, and I can't sit out there all night. You guys can't sit out there all night. Like I said, I've documented her license plate numbers on the vehicle she was driving last time and another car she's driven before. But I don't know how to get results. Nobody seems particularly interested in doing much about it. I realize it's a low-level crime for you guys, but if you talk about quality of life, it's a direct impact on quality of life in this neighborhood.
Yeah, as far as I mean, as far as I know, if they're the only issue we have with people trapping cats is if obviously if the cat belongs to somebody on the street. But you know, if you have a feral cat that you've trapped, I'm not going to tell you not to trap a cat. But if you have a cat that you've trapped, you can certainly call our animal control to come pick it up after it's been trapped, so that they can you know, take it to a shelter of some sort. But as far as the individual goes, yeah, that sounds like if it's happening all hours of the night, you know, animal control, whether they work for the city of Santa Ana or even the county, are generally not going to have staffing during nighttime hours. So your best bet is, you know, if you're having an individual and do this and you're having some sort of an argument or a disagreement with her, is to call it in. You know, I will tell you, I'll be honest with you, if it's a busy night and we've got lots of different things going on, there's other calls certainly that would take priority over the cats. But if it's a slow night and we've got officers in the area and you call, certainly we can make every attempt to get there quickly and see what the issue might be and maybe hopefully contact this individual and let her know.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Thank you so much, Commander, for that. Let's go over to Maria.
I will mention to the our animal control that you're I know I got over there on Kent Street that the cats were kind of running amok. Were there some other streets that specifically where all these cats are congregating?
All over.
Hi. Yes, they're hello?
Yes, Holly, we can hear you.
Hi. The cats are on Driftwood, South Driftwood Drive. They're on Crystal Lane. They're around the whole loop where we live. I don't go out looking for to the rest of the neighborhood, but I've collected. The lady leaves she started leaving cooked chicken too, and I found had to have been 3 whole cooked chickens under cars. And sometimes she leaves them on newspapers and then never picks them up, and then the trash is blowing everywhere. And sometimes she just leaves them on the ground, straight up. Wet cat food on the ground, dry cat food. It's crawling with ants, with cockroaches, I have photographs of a dead rat in that area. And it also is attracting coyotes. We live across the street from Miles Square Park, and we're getting coyotes come in and eat the cats and eat the pet dogs in the neighborhood. And it's she just is leaving this food out for the coyotes. And there is a harassment law against feeding wild animals. So it's attracting rodents, coyotes, in addition to the cats. So she should be stopped for any number of those wildlife harassment violations. I mean, leaving the food.
No, it sounds like she might have some mental health issues as well if she's going around doing that. But certainly she shouldn't be feeding the wild animals, and we've also, she's littering by leaving her trash and discarded carcasses and things of that sort. And nobody wants to wake up to that on their street or in their driveway. So certainly I'll pass that information to animal control as far as what we might be able to do with the cats. If the cats are gone, maybe that might dissuade her from the neighborhood. But again, I would just have to encourage you to just call it in, and hopefully we can respond and contact her before she leaves. How long does she usually remain in the neighborhood as she's feeding these cats?
Hi, sorry, I was muted. She usually, if she does it at night, she's there between like 9 and 11 p.m., but sometimes she comes early in the morning around 6 a.m. Sometimes she picks up the newspapers, most of the time she doesn't. And there's a guy that drives her, that helps her. And I have photographs of license plates and stuff too, and they drive multiple cars.
Okay, if you want to provide those photographs to Scott or Margarita, they can forward that to me, and I can try and figure it out, see if we can get it to the right departments. But again, I'm not a specialist on how to deal with the cats or wild animals, but we'll try and get you to the right department and get a response for you.
Okay, thank you so much.
And Commander, Holly has sent our office some photos. They're huge files though, Holly. So if you're able to make the files a little bit smaller, it would be easier for us to email them. They're just like gigantic. You probably know what I'm talking about, but if you're able to make the files a little bit smaller, it's a little bit easier for us to send them to people by email, like the commander and other people.
Okay, I'll try. They're just from my phone, so I'll try.
Okay, very good. Thank you. All right, we have other questions now as well. We're going to go to, in this order, we'll go to Maria Sandoval, then we'll go to Vince, and then to Shawnee. So that'll be the order. Maria Sandoval, are you ready?
Yes, I am. Been ready for a little while. Good evening, Commander Weber.
Hi.
I don't remember you from our meeting, but I have dealt with several times with you on the phone. I live over here off of 6th Street between Rosita and Euclid, and you guys just had the closure of a home that was a slap house. And we had a lot of vandalism in our neighborhoods. All our cars were vandalized several times during the day and night. And you guys closed it down probably, the address is 4902 West 6th Street, number 6. And it's been about 2 weeks or maybe 3 that it was boarded up by code enforcement, the whole shebang. The police department did for the second time, mind you. The first time it was about a couple of months ago, like 3, and they were in business 2 days later again, full force. I don't know how they did it, but this second time they've been boarded up and sealed with red tags, you name it. But there's a lot of lowlife that hangs around in the yard. I don't know. I keep calling it in, and you guys, like I said, this has been the second time, and that's our tax dollars that are going in there to try to close these places down. And it irritates me that things can happen so easily right after things have been taken care of by multitude of the services of our city police and departments in our city. So I'm just wondering, what are we doing wrong to allow that to happen in my neighborhood? I'm very vigilant. I've been here since 1977. I walk a lot. I bring in anything that looks not right, even on the street dumps, everything. And my neighborhood is mostly Hispanic and some Vietnamese, and they are very quiet. They don't like to call anything in. But things are changing because their cars got vandalized 3 times on the street and in their driveways severely. And so they're changing their ways. But at the same time, I don't know. I call it in to your department. I call the 834-4211. That's the number I dial. I don't know the other number that you gave. I don't have that number to call a dispatch. But they seem to congregate there, and I would like a little bit of help in having more presence in area, because there's another house that's doing the same thing now on Euclid. I mean, and they're just going up like, hey, that's the place to be, because no one seems to bother us. So I
Maria,
just need help.
Do you have the address for the one on, you gave me the one on 6th Street that was closed, but there's still people congregating in that area. How about the one on Euclid?
Yes, I do. It's a little business that they have the number barely, you can barely see it under the roof. It's 310 Euclid. It's on the main drag. I see it every day.
Is that north or south of 1st Street or both?
It's between between 4th and 3rd on the west side of Euclid.
Okay, so 310 North Euclid.
Yeah, and it's a little strip mall, and it looks very innocent. But boy, do the cars go in and out, and men and women, and there's all kinds of activity all day long, and on the evenings, in the daytime, in the weekends, just like the one down by me. That 4902 is just like half a block from my house. And like I say, it looks like there's something going on again that I can't swear by, because I can't see any breakage over at 6th Street, 4902 West 6. I can't see any sign.
Hey, Maria, thank you. Thank you very much.
As far as these two addresses go, I'll pass that along to our directed patrol, make sure that they follow that, and then we essentially will work with our vice unit collaboratively to address these slap houses. We call them gambling dens, and we'll make sure we get on that promptly to address it. And we appreciate you calling these things in. Obviously, you said that you're very vigilant in your neighborhood, and that's key for closing these places down, and have vigilance, to have people in the neighborhood that care enough to pick up the phone and give us a call if something's amiss. That way, if we don't know about it, then we can't address it. So I appreciate you giving me this info, and I'll make sure that it's passed on to
Can I share something with you before they take me off? Is that I put myself in harm because they know it's me, because I don't stand back, okay? I go and I do the job. And sometimes I have to do the job because there's no one that listens and comes and helps. So I don't want to be a statistic. I do not want to be a statistic one day and my kids find me dead, because I'm a single woman living on my own, widowed, and but I just am not gonna stand for them to do this to my neighborhood. I've been living here since 1977. I put these streets in my neighborhood. I put the trees there. I lobbied all of it through the city and the government, the city government. I mean, I feel pride in my neighborhood, and this is just unacceptable. Like I said, whenever you can have some more presence of the police car just going by. They couldn't believe when you guys started to do that the second time. And they came to me and said, my neighbors, my God, we see police cars actually driving through our street. I said, yeah, but it takes you guys to call. And I know I took long, but I waited a long time to talk to you. So I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Commander.
Not a problem, Maria, and thank you for providing the information. And we'll make sure our directed patrol units get on this ASAP.
Okay, thank you.
And now we've unmuted the mic for Vince Cuellar. Vince, you're queued up.
Yes,
So
my question
Ben,
is we have up near where I live that the cars are just zooming by. They don't stop. And now that I have a security camera, I see the recordings of the cars all day, all night, just going right through the. It's dangerous. My question is there a specific number that I call? Do I call the non-emergency number, police department?
Yeah, certainly if it's something in progress where they're just going up and down the street, and it's a continuous issue, go ahead and you can call it in. You can also contact our traffic division and make the complaints. They're aware of it. They're the ones that would address the street racing. And as long as they're aware of what's going on and how frequently it's occurring, they can concentrate efforts on addressing those issues.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, excellent.
Commander
Thank you.
Weber, I'm sorry. Hi, this is Margarita. I just wanted to confirm that the traffic division line, is that the one he should call, or would it be the directed patrol but requesting traffic enforcement?
For traffic related matters, it's going to be our traffic division.
Okay.
And they can speak. We've got Commander Elms is in charge of our traffic division, but they could speak to Sergeant Kanan Blake or Richard Shin, and they can make sure that we have increased patrols in those areas if that's an issue.
Thank you.
Excellent. We've got this is Scott. We've got one final question from Shawnee Aguilera. You are self-muted right now, and so if you could turn on your mic, you're free to ask your question. Here you go. Hi, Shawnee. Welcome. Shawnee, if you're able to ask your question, please go ahead and do so now. Okay, we'll circle back with Shawnee in the future. I think that concludes our initial Q&A. Commander Weber. Yes, Margarita.
Yes, we just had a comment I wanted to read from Ridvan, saying that this is in regards to the animal control concern, where some cities have a catch, neuter, release program to control their cats over a few years intervals. And it seems like the cat populations tend to increase during this time of year in cycles, and perhaps someone calling animal control can propose this. And we'll get the direct number for traffic division soon.
Okay, very good. I see that Shawnee Aguilera is back. You're self-muted right now, so we're going to try one more time to get you. Shawnee, are you back? Are you able to ask your question? Hi, Shawnee.
No.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much, Commander Weber. We really appreciate your presentation.
Thank you.
And now we're going to introduce our City Council member, Nelida Mendoza, who is relatively new to the City Council, and it's a great opportunity for you to hear a little bit from her firsthand regarding her priorities and her vision. She'll also be available to answer questions that you may have as well. And so for those of you that are participating, I just encourage everybody to silence your mics, just so that we're not going to pick up so much background noise. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to City Council member Nelida Mendoza. Welcome.
Thank you, Scott. I appreciate it. And to the Riverview West Association, thank you for the invitation for the meet and greet. I'm looking forward to many good things and extensive time on this seat to be able to do what we are ultimately looking forward to doing together is to give you a better quality of life, to make it a safe and beautiful environment for you to live in, and to have community outreach events as soon as we're able to get them going once these COVID restrictions are lifted. And many of you already know me from my participation on the West End Board of Directors, the COP, community-oriented organization that we had there when when we had that little satellite office off of at the Walmart shopping center, and Gloria Perez was our special officer there, our coordinator, and we had we worked to resolve many issues of the West End, and we also brought many programs to the community. If you remember, the officers shopping with the kids at Target, the Christmas events where we partnered with Walmart, and they gave lots of toys for our neighborhood children. My own family, my children participated as they got into costumes of Rudolph and Santa and snowmen, and we were out there doing a little parade around the parking lot. And I had to step aside from my position there with the West End because at that time is when I won the seat for the Rancho Santiago Community College District as a trustee, and have been representing your area, same place, same area, with educational issues. And so I am very proud to have been able to do that for our youth, and as a partnership with our city, I am glad that we are able to work together so that we can bring programs involving education so that our children are on a path to a better future, and so that we get them early enough in their lives so that we could extend the experiences that we've had, so that we could deviate any association with gangs, drugs, or early pregnancies. And since I last saw many of you, my children have graduated from college and are on their own. Joseph, my oldest, is a firefighter with Los Angeles County Fire Department. And you remember him, right? Yeah. And Jonathan, my middle child, he also graduated from UCI, the University of UCI, and his bachelor's is in biomedical sciences. And he is working for Hoag Medical Center in Irvine as an emergency room technician in the biomedical services area. And if you remember my little girl, Marisa, she was always wanted to be a doctor, and she was very caring and compassionate young lady. And so I am very proud to say that her dream of becoming a doctor has been fulfilled, and she is now a 2-year fully staffed medical doctor at Stanford Medical Center. And my kids are doing well because our community here just wraps their arms around our youth, and we guide them and we keep them on the path to doing what is going to be right for them and for our communities. And so they've attended Santa Ana Unified School District schools. So I'm very proud of the education that they've received, because it laid out the foundation for their success. And in turn, it's the success of our community, because what they have in their success, they'll turn around and bring back to their communities, as they did when they were younger, in volunteering and tutoring younger students and participating in events that their mom asks them to. Because I've always been a very community involved individual, and I truly believe that in order to make our communities better, that we need to be the leaders. We need to be the ones that show and demonstrate by our actions our dedication and commitment to our neighborhoods. And I also, since I retired from the County of Orange as a paralegal, I obtained my teaching credential, because I really always wanted to be a teacher. And so I had a little of a deviation there in my education and my master's. I got into public administration, and so that's how I got into the County of Orange and dedicated my professional career in serving our Orange County families in the area of child support services and going to court in advocating for our families here in Orange County. And so after serving in that capacity for over 20 years, I retired. But I still have so much to give and to do with our community that I enrolled and got my credential as a teacher. So now I am I am a teacher with the Santa Ana Unified School District, and I teach at Middle College High School. And I also taught at Godinez High School. I was teaching the first couple years criminal justice and foundations of law and paralegal studies. So it kind of tied in with my legal background of what I was doing as a paralegal with the County of Orange. It tied in, and today at my middle college, I have a class of students and which is geared for professional internships. So now it's not just the legal field that I'm involved in. I am involved in other areas such as the sciences, the medical professions, design, and every profession that you can think of. We are working on it in this class. And when the opportunity came up that the seat came up in my ward, I of course took on the challenge because I know that as a city council member that I have so much to give, because now I have the resources and the staff and the authority to make even greater efforts in our area, because you know we have some areas of our city that greatly need some improvement, and I believe that Ward 6 has that need. So I am your representative on that seat. I am the voice for you. So I want you to always let me know what's going on, and I have already begun doing that with Mr. Schmidt in one of the areas with the issues that our area is having with homelessness and other public safety areas. So that's my my life in the last maybe 10, 15 years since we've met, and I will continue to do so, because now that my children are grown, they don't really need me. They told me that they don't have any plans to have children just yet, so I don't have the grandma role yet. So, and as a teacher, it gives me a lot of flexibility to be able to spend more time in the community, and so it just everything fell into place, and I'm really happy to be able to give back to community in this way. And as many of you know also that I was in the military as a sergeant, and that's one of the places where my pride grew, the sense of community and civic duty to my country and to my neighborhood, because this is where we live, and this is where we need to keep our homes safe, our neighborhoods beautiful, and to make sure that everybody does their part in living a very peaceful and tranquil life. And so I am here as your representative, and I want to thank you for your support, and I want to be able to prove to you that in the next 2 years that you've elected the right person for this job, because I'm not afraid of challenge. I know that there are many difficult issues that we need to resolve, and I know that with your help and with the staff that we have, we will resolve those. One of the biggest issues is probably the homelessness, which has been in existence for probably, well, let me tell you this. In the early, no, actually in the late 1980s, I was working for the city of Santa Ana. I was in the city manager's office, and already there was a homeless people. As I came to work to City Hall, we had homeless people sleeping around City Hall. And so that was in 1986. That's what, about 35 years. And so the problem just keeps growing. Sometimes it's put away for a little bit, but it has never been permanently resolved. So we're working in partnership with other cities and with the county. We're working and resolving the issue so that we have something that is more permanent, and that we can place the homeless people in a dignified manner into facilities where they can get treatment and assistance. And those who are continue to have the criminals, the delinquencies, and if need be, then we put them where they need to be. And of course, providing wraparound services for the ones who have the mental issues, so that we can make sure that they are able to take care of themselves some way, but at least give them the tools and the skills to be able to have work for themselves, so that they can find some kind of profession to get a job, and eventually pay for their own living expenses, their own apartment, and or in a low-income housing. So that's one of the priorities in our neighborhood. And I know there's probably others, such as the code enforcement of unsafe or very dilapidated buildings. We do have a program in place that is having to do with getting an accountability of all the vacant lots or buildings that are neglected, and that there's maybe trash or broken windows, or just not cared for by the property owners. So the city is going to get a list of those, and we are going to prioritize them according to the extent of their risk in our neighborhoods. And then we're going to contact the owners and request that they beautify and clean up and maintain their buildings. And they get a certain, yes, it's going to be, this is kind of like the broken window theory, so that, you know, if the homeless people see that this building's abandoned and not being taken care of, it's going to get worse, because that's where they go and conjugate. So so we will give notices to the property owners, and if they're unable to, or if they refuse to clean up their properties, then the city will go in and do the cleanup and the maintenance, and then we will file a lien so that the expenses will be reimbursed to the city when that property is sold. And that's areas that I think that I'm very proud to have that, because we are going to make our city look much more beautiful in that way. And as soon as we can, we'll get our arts and culture program going. We've allocated some money to our commission so that we can create some programs, and maybe those children or youth, our students who are interested in arts, we can eventually get them back into the Parks and Recs department for the after-school programs, where they can start doing some art and maybe create some beautiful murals for our city, or update those ones that have been that are outdated, or they're fading. And so what kind of questions do you have as far as any other things that might be going on? Or maybe I should update you on the issue with homelessness around the Stater Brothers shopping center. Because the city has tried and unsuccessfully and many times to clean up the area of the homelessness in surrounding the Stater Brothers and the liquor store, and to ask the property owner to make sure they clean up and maybe do some more patrolling and take better care of their parking lot, update the asphalt, maybe the facades, to make it look nice and updated and modern. And so the lawsuit will be filed if and it's going to be forcing the property owners to take better care of the property. And if they refuse, my understanding is that there are penalties that are associated with this, and if the city of Santa Ana has to maintain it, then we will get reimbursed for that. And along the same lines with that issue at the Stater Brothers, when the homeless people are shooed away from there and they're forced to move, but the problem really doesn't go away because these homeless people, they go across the street to Centennial Park and continue to do the drugs or whatever it is that they do. So that brings issues to Centennial Park, and it prevents our community from enjoying the park. And we can't allow that either. Also, some of those people, they go across the street to the other corner to the Arco station, and they hang out there asking people for money. And then they go over to right behind there where the car wash is at. And there's the continuous of drugs occurs there. And also to the other smaller shopping centers that are down the street towards Sullivan, where that other liquor store is at. But I'm happy to see that the property owner at Los Mezcales restaurant, they've recently put up a fence, and the other property right next door, they put up a fence also. So they have not been getting together there as often, and it's a little better that way, but it's only a temporary fix. It's a Band-Aid on the problem. We need to find a way to get the people off the streets and to make sure that the rest of the cities in the county know that Santa Ana is not a dumping ground anymore for the homelessness. We've got to work together. Otherwise, we do have some lawsuits that we as resources to help us along that way. And so I'm open for questions, comments.
Thank you, Council Member. Let's check and see what sort of questions we may have. Margarita, do we have any questions that people have entered in using the question box? Or
Yes, we do. We have a question, Council Member, from Ruby Kalma, and his question is, are there any campaigns to ally with churches or charitable organizations to help with the homeless problem?
Not to my knowledge, not with the city of Santa Ana, but as a private citizen, I thought that was a great idea because our nonprofit organizations are doing the same kind of work. It's a mutual goal that if the organizations work together, I think pooling the financial resources and the volunteers, I think it'll be more effective. So I have been trying to meet with the organization so that we can have a central focus and we could all get together and work on it as one unit rather than several different ones. It's a great idea. So I will keep you posted. I have a newsletter, And so that I'll send out the newsletter and maybe ask for volunteers, and hopefully you will help us to come in and help with those nonprofits organizations so that we can help with that homelessness issue.
Councilmember, we also have a question from Keith Carpenter. He used the question box to type in his question. His question is, where are we at on police oversight? That was his question.
Well, that came before the city council to have a police oversight committee, but it has not been decided. There was agreement that a committee should be formed to have to look at issues of that our city may be having with policing. However, that has not been finalized, and it needs to be looked into with a fine-tooth comb, because the city of Santa Ana and all of us as private citizens, we have resources that are available to us. If we believe that there has been police misconduct, there is the first step is within the police department, there's the investigation, and there's also the internal investigations, and then we have the state of California. We have various law entities that if reported, if there is anything that might look as suspicious with the city of Santa Ana with our police department, it is available to us that we can report to the state of California and the governor's office, and so that we will be protected as private citizens. So as private citizens and you're forming a committee, we are just not equipped to make decisions that will affect a police officer's career and his life. We need to have years and years of experience as in the legal field, what the law is, what it constitutes brutal force, because I know that is the concern of the public, that some police officers are perhaps using too much force. So we need to see, we're not equipped, we don't have the training to know what the situation was and what the intent was and what occurred. So we need to really look at this issue and don't want to get into an opening up a Pandora's box, because there are some risks that we face, and so the entire council is looking at that, and together as your representatives, we will look at it and get input from the community, and we will keep looking at that issue. I'm not sure yet whether it's a yes on forming that committee, but you certainly have your input where you can help us make that decision.
Thank you, Councilmember. I think that Keith Carpenter also provided some clarification and sort of added some additional questions. And so let me try and read these to you so that you'll have an idea. Keith's first question was sort of, where are we at on police oversight? And you responded to that. His follow-up question is, do you agree with police oversight? And can we model a system after other cities, is sort of his follow-up.
Well, definitely, yes. We can model if something is working with another city and they have the results that we would like to achieve here in Santa Ana. That's definitely something that we can look at. We, as I mentioned earlier, we need to really analyze that, and it's going to be a decision made by the entire city council, and the decision that will be made will be based on what is good for that community and what is the best possible solution for our city. So if we don't have any other choice but to form a citizens oversight committee, it would be a more like an administrative function, and it probably will not have the authority to fire or hire any police officers, because that is already in place. We have that safety measure within our resources.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We got a message from Julie and Roy Melcher, and they wanted to welcome you. I'm going to unmute their mic for Julie and Roy Melcher to see if they want to make any comments. Julie and Roy, you're unmuted.
Roy, Julie, such
Hi,
a
Julie
pleasure
and Roy.
to. How are you, Julie and Roy? My West End buddies. We had many events that we worked together at West End, and it was always wonderful. Lots of laughs and enjoyment in seeing the public come out and just seeing how happy they were at receiving those toys or handing out the food, the gift cards. I tell you, it was such a pleasure. It brought so much satisfaction, and Roy and Julie were just tremendous workers.
Hi, Julie and Roy, are you able to participate or? Okay, we're going to move on. We do have a question, another question from Holly Pamplin. Margarita, it's kind of a lengthy question. Do you wanna read it? Okay.
Yes, I will. So Holly is asking, I have questions regarding elected and appointed representatives and all of the boards on which they sit. I have created a webpage regarding these positions for our neighborhood, but have had really difficult time finding all the answers related to the elected appointed positions and how much money officials earn in these positions. The public should be aware of where its tax money is being spent. Where can I find a breakdown of all of these positions and their related pay? Thank you. And then she attached the link to the Riverview West site.
I agree that the public should be aware of where their tax money is going to. And I also agree that you should be made aware of how your city council is representing you on other boards. The information is available through our city clerk. Her name is Daisy Gomez. And you can either call her directly to get that information, or you may go on the website. There's a list of boards and commissions, and I don't know if the compensation is listed as well, but generally the meetings are about once or twice a month, and they pay about $100 a month or $50 per meeting, and this monies are not being paid by the Santa Ana taxpayers. They're being paid by whatever board the council member sits. For example, I sit on the sanitation water district, and I get $100 a month, and that's paid by the sanitation, the Orange County Sanitation Department. And I sit on two others, but there is no compensation for that. It's just my own volunteer time. And then I report back to the council on whatever business that we discussed. And if it's anything that's relevant to what the city is doing, then we take action. And I also have appointed several of my constituents into the commissions and boards and commissions that are listed on the website, and their compensation is probably about the same, maybe $100 a month for they sit on their, like, for example, the planning commissioners, they meet, it's about 2 hours, maybe 3, depending on the amount of business that they have. So, and they get $100 per month. So I figure if you total out the time that the commissioners spent, it could be somewhere between $15 and $20 an hour. As your city council person, my first meeting was from 4:30 in the afternoon to 11:30 at night. So that was 7 hours in my first meeting. My second meeting was the same, well, actually a little longer, from 4:30 in the afternoon to 1:30 in the morning. So it's a full day, and I don't mind, because we have to spend the time in resolving issues, and some of them are very, very involved, and it requires a lot of discussion and voting. So if you wish a list of all the boards and commissions that we have, and in addition to which boards and commissions our city council are assigned to, I can ask our city clerk to send you a list. Who is your association's president, and I can have that sent to you.
What we can do, council member, is we can follow up with our clerk of the council to provide Holly with the information. So in my response to her question, I will also reference the page that we were talking about. That way, at least she has that. I'm sure she's reviewed that already, but I think the level of detail is probably not as visible on the city's webpage.
Okay.
Thank you, Margarita. You're welcome.
Yes. Thank you. Appreciate it. Yes. Any other questions from my constituents?
I have one, Maria Sandoval.
Hi, Maria.
Hi, Maria.
Hi. I am wanting to ask a serious question in regards to the code enforcement. If we call in with detailed to some persons that work in code enforcement and they never reply repeatedly, what would be the reason for that? What would be the reason? Even the head person for code enforcement as well. What would be the reason? And that person would be me that is called.
Well, I can tell you that the code enforcement staff is overworked, and there's so much going on in our city that we really need to provide them with more staff. And we could do a volunteer code enforcement, but then it requires the city to train volunteers and to make sure that they know what they're going to be looking for. There's got to be some like structural knowledge of buildings. And also it could be risky because some of those places where you go, there's dogs, there's hostile people who don't want you to see their illegal structure, and it might put the volunteers in danger. So I understand that it's frustrating because you may be calling for some issues that are going on in your neighborhood for quite a while. But if our code enforcement department already has it on their radar, you can be sure that Alvaro Nunez and his staff will get out there as soon as they can. And it's just, it depends also on the priority of the level of danger that the structure is. If it looks like it's about to fall on and hurt people, then I'm sure our officers will be out there immediately. But if it's something that they're working with someone that they've already contacted and they've notified and probably attended, there's the hearings and the penalties, and you should know, Maria, that some of these people who violate code enforcement, they pay the fine and then they continue to violate, and so to them it's just a matter of a cat and mouse game. They continue and continue, hoping that that eventually we would go away, but we're not going to do that. If something is illegal, we are going to take care of it, and code enforcement is doing the best that they can. Maybe if we could allocate more money, but as you know, the financial is always a very touchy issue. If we try to increase funding in one area, it creates quite a stir in the other area. So we have to justify it, and so maybe with this, our code enforcement director could justify it and make sure that he has all the calls, all the buildings that have been reported, so that when they bring it for our next budget, we could see and vote on increasing to hire more code enforcement officers. So
is that the reason, though? Can you tell me, Nelida, if how many code enforcement people do we have on staff?
Not very many. My understanding is only about 8 for a city of over 300,000.
So it's gone down even more. Mm.
And Maria, with the COVID restrictions, we haven't been able to get out there either.
I know.
Maria, this is Scott. I'm sorry to interrupt the two of you, but if there's a specific address, I can follow up with you and follow up with Alvaro Nunez to see whether we can get you more specific information and updates.
There is. Yeah, there is a lot. Yes, there is. And so that would work, Scott.
So you and I can follow up sort of offline, and I'd be happy to assist in getting more specifics for you about that. Margarita, do we have any other questions, or? Margarita, you're muted.
I apologize. Sorry about that. Okay, so this one is from Keith Carpenter. Thank you, Keith. So it's more of a comment. You offered to spend a day with you. I said I was interested in my email. I would like to reinforce that now. So I guess Keith is interested in connecting with the council member in terms of being able to look at issues or point out priorities.
Okay. I see that Keith also, he had another comment. Thank you, Keith. But I think Keith, his other comment, council member, was just that citizens are calling. This goes back to the police oversight discussion earlier. Keith, and we can just unmute Keith's mic and maybe he can express himself, but he just shared that citizens were calling for an oversight committee, and he felt that it should be done. Basically, he feels like it's necessary. Keith, I'm gonna unmute your mic. We've unmuted your mic, so you can just put things in your own words if you'd like.
Yeah.
Thank you, I appreciate that. Yeah, because when we had the council meeting that ended up running on to 2 nights, and there were hundreds of calls in, the overwhelming majority of the citizens were in favor of the oversight committee. And I think it's just kind of important issue to address rather than creating roadblocks for it, I think we should move forward with that. There are plenty of cities out there that have oversight committees, so we don't have to reinvent the wheel on this. We can model our program exactly after theirs. And to me, that would go an extremely long way in smoothing the relations with the community and the police. And trust me, I have nothing against the police. I've talked to them many times, met with them myself. Regular guys like the rest of them doing their job, but even they'll tell you there are issues. So, for the sake of the community, I think this is an important issue, and rather than forestall it, we should move forward on it. You know, this was even brought up by 2 of the council members, so it's kind of a caveat to me why it's not happening and why would there be any opposition to it. I don't know if the police department's opposed to it or not. I haven't had a chance to talk to any of the commanders on that. But again, I think it would be good for the community, particularly the police-citizen community relations would be an excellent thing. And my second comment is, if you had offered to have one of us spend a day with you to see how the life of a council person is, and I think that would be a great idea. But again, don't have the appreciation of it because I've never had the opportunity to be a council person. So if the invitation was open, I'd be more than happy to accept it.
Yes, it's that invitation is open, and I will make arrangements with your schedule so that we could show you around City Hall and some of the issues that we deal with and take care of behind the scenes. And also maybe you can attend one of the city council meetings and go over the agenda with us so that we can, you know, the issues that are not in closed session, of course, that would be great. And that reminds me, we can start by tomorrow. There's going to be one of my projects was to help the city in bringing COVID testing to our residents. And that has been possible finally after a month of going back and forth with the vendors. We selected one Medica testing who is doing, they've started last Saturday at Santa Ana College, and it was very successful. Many residents came by for their free testing and will be getting their results back within 48 to 72 hours. And so I would like to invite all of you to come tomorrow at Jerome Park. There will be, you can leave your cars there, you can park there, and the testing is going to be done over at the Townsend Apartments. And so you can get a firsthand view of one of the projects that your city has brought to you to an attempt to keep you and your children safe. And it's this was possible through the CARES Act money that our mayor and city manager worked really hard to get for us. And so on those that money, you'll be getting this benefit as a free COVID testing. So if you are available tomorrow at 11 o'clock at Jerome Park, please come by and see one of the events.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I have medical insurance, thank God. But back to the police commission. Again, obviously the citizenry felt it was an important issue. I think that was the most call-ins that we've ever had on a agenda item. So again, I'd just like to know some sort of time frame that we can look at to move forward.
Would you be so kind as to maybe provide a list of the cities that already have that and what they've done and how they meet and how it's worked in their cities? Do you have anything that I can bring to the council as a backup?
I don't at this time, but I know one of the individuals I called in during that council meeting had mentioned a city and their program that apparently is very successful. But I will see what I can do. I realize you're quite busy, so yeah, I'll try and do what I can and get back with you.
Fantastic, great. That would be great. Would enjoy Because anytime we bring anything to council, we have to have a strong and justifiable backup and evidence. Otherwise, we're not allowed to see it. And for our next council meeting, we already have a full agenda. We have 485A items. So perhaps maybe at the next one in October or November, as soon as we can have our staff look at that and analyze it, might be a possibility to put it on the agenda.
Excellent. Thank you so much. You know, we're like 2 hours into this meeting, and everybody's been very, very generous with their time. And so, Margarita, I just want to check with you to see if we have any final questions, or we've
We have
we've
a
covered just
comment.
about everything.
Yeah, so comment from Keith is that Holly Pamplin would like to join in that opportunity to walk with you. And then, see, Holly also had a comment regarding the Oversight Committee, that it'd be a really good idea during this tumultuous time in our society. She thinks that it would be preventative, for potential related problems within our community, and that we should be proactive right now, especially right now. And then she had another comment regarding the appointment of an undocumented person on a position of the Citizen Oversight Committee. As such, what can we as citizens do to enforce the terms that we were voted into place regarding Measure X? The city may not change the wording of this after it was voted into law, which seems to be what Santa Ana has indeed done. So any thoughts or?
Are you referring to the council member Sarmiento's appointee?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's.
Well, I don't know that there was a requirement that the person have residency here in the United States, but I would recommend maybe directing that question to council member
or the clerk of the council, maybe.
Clerk of the council, and then maybe conferring with council member Sarmiento. That way he can explain his justification. So he's an attorney, so he knows what he's doing, and if he appointed an undocumented person, it's totally legal. It's totally legal. If the person is qualified, that wouldn't the immigration status would not make a difference, but definitely direct that question to city clerk and council member Sarmiento.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank
I'd
you
like
so
to
much.
just, in closing, I would just like to see if Julie and Roy Melcher are available now, whether you guys want to just make any closing comments for Councilmember Mendoza. Hi, Julie and Roy. Are you guys able to activate your mic? Okay, I guess not. So, so again, thank you to everybody for participating in the Riverview West Neighborhood Association meeting. Thank you to Councilmember Mendoza. Thank you very much to Commander Weber. We really appreciate it. Thanks to our traffic engineer from Public Works for his presentation as well. There was a question about how to get a copy of the recording of this meeting. Margarita, is there a? Okay.
Yeah, so Julie and Roy Melcher, they typed in, well, how do we know? And also there was someone else, questions, TAP, who had inquired about it. So what we can do is we will mail out the YouTube link to those who signed up for the meeting and the existing list of Riverview West Neighborhood Association email list. So that way, whether people were able to join or not, they will have the link so they can view the meeting.
Okay, excellent. All right, very good. And so with that, we're going to conclude our meeting. Thank you again, council member, and thank you to our attendees and participants. And I think that the board of the Riverview West neighborhood will they meet in between their meetings and debrief and talk about sort of how they want to move forward. And so I'm sure we'll have a great conversation about ways of kind of refining this virtual platform and how to best use it. And we appreciate everybody's participation and feedback. And so thank you again, and good evening to everybody.
Thank you.
Good night.
Bye, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.